into a brand new wave, drowning out the noise that's tame. Liberty whispers through the brave, breaking free from every chain. Nullify the rules they crave, crypto beats that pave the way. Anarchy with minds that's safe, algorithms new dawn today. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride. Beyond control we take a stand, casting off the iron brand. Freedom flowing through our hands, revolution's our command. Decentralize the way we plan, all together we expand. Breaking shackles for the clan, in this journey we're unpanned. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride.
The Son, and the Holy Spirit. God, rebuke every evil from my tongue, from my mind, from my heart, and let me speak nothing but truth through the lens of my explanations and my definitions. Let Andrew do the same, and let all those who listen gain access to the fullest message of the truth in anything that they do, we do, in your name, Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Welcome in. I am the legacy of Jennifer Kaiser. This is Weekly Legacy, episode 22. And you are all hypocrites. We are all hypocrites. Every last one of us. We defile the law of nature, the course of divine teaching. We spit in the face of Moses, and thus we flip off God. We interpret our feelings for the pleasure of controlling others to our own standard. We ignore the truth within His Word. It's time to grow the fuck up.
Hey, yo.
What are you doing, bald head?
I don't know.
No dancing? I don't know why it switched to that screening. Get a close-up of your bald reflection into your head. I can see my face in your baldness. I can see the light, too. That's a lot of light, man. Wow, you're shining. Turn the light on. Actually, that's actually kind of good. Actually, that lighting was actually perfect. Shut it off again. That's kind of good. It actually, yeah, the camera actually kind of, it's up to you if you want to keep the light on.
This is the Shadow episode. Unrelated to the all-time radio.
Yeah, it's not really. If you want to turn the light on, Andrew, I was just kidding. Unless you want to sit in the dark. It's actually kind of reflect, the light's a little bit better in the camera. It's up to you, though.
This is my old friend. I work overnight.
What do
I'm always dark. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm black pilled, baby.
Well, if you want to turn the light on for that, that's fine. Get a little light. Get a little light into you. So what do I mean by we're all hypocrites? What do I mean by you all being hypocrites? What does that mean to be a hypocrite?
Well,
Anybody that wants to join in the chat, or I'm asking this to Andrew, of course, but anybody that wants to join in, you can check out Rumble, YouTube, X, jump in, say your piece in the chat. What does hypocrisy mean to you? But go on, Andrew. I cut you off.
Well, I just remember what I was reading in a book, and it was talking about basically is a malinterpretation of religious scripture.
Defiling it to an interpretation, utilizing tradition over the moral principles of God, what it really means.
Yeah.
Sort of like what Protestants do with sola scriptura. My feelings trump God's divine law. I'm not dissing Protestant. I'm saying that you get it wrong with your interpretations. Same with Judaism. Same with Rabbinic Judaism, the forebears of the Pharisee. This book right here, chapter 3, literally the title is called, this is the Jewish Gospels, but the title of this chapter, what we discussed today, is Jesus kept kosher. Jesus, by all means, really did keep kosher. He was a Jew. But he also profoundly implicated what it truly means to be kosher or purified. And to the Pharisees and their traditions, what does that necessarily mean? Well, that means to them, we have to keep to certain traditions. We have to put forth our own standard to keep to our own hierarchical rule. It's a form of control. It's no different from the Catholic Church doing the same thing with the peasantry in the Middle Ages. No different from the Eastern Orthodox. No different from the Protestant sects and denominations of Christianity. No different. I'm not even going to say no different. It's basically Islam. No different from the Eastern religions and faiths and philosophies. It's culture. That's how culture navigates itself. It tries to find a hierarchical being to set a standard for society.
Well, I mean, reform is a form of control, but it's not a violent form of control.
No, it doesn't have to be violent. You're exactly right. In fact, some could argue that
it's a form of management.
Well, yeah, some could actually argue that reform is probably more disingenuous than violent incarnation of apocalypse, revelation, change. Some could say that through reform, you have a misplaced identity from one party over another.
Yeah.
And as Mark says, do as I say, not as I do.
It's about being consistent, right?
Mm-hmm. So, and one thing that I really love, jumping into Mark, and Daniel actually brings about this. Mark 14 through 23. Let's read it, and we'll decipher it. And he called
a PDF, so
yeah. You had a PDF.
Yeah.
What does that matter? I'm reading from the Bible, from the Gospel of Mark. So, Gospel of Mark, verse 14 through 23. And he called the people to him again and said to them, "Hear me, all of you, and understand. There is nothing outside a man which by going into him can defile him, but the things which come out of a man are what defile him." Now, remember, talking about the purity laws in the essence of certain foods you can't take in, certain gestures you must do, like washing of the hands. You can't eat certain foods without preparing yourself for them, etc., etc. So it's all based on taking in when it comes to when we're talking directly with the dietary laws, right? But is that how we should interpret the law of Moses or the Torah? Verse 18, and he said to them, then are you also without understanding? Do you not see that whatever goes into a man from outside cannot defile him, since it enters not his heart but his stomach, and so passes on? And there's a little interpretive defining in my book. Thus he declared all foods clean. And he said, what comes out of a man is what defiles him. For from within, one of the heart of man, come evil thoughts, fornication, theft, murder, adultery, coveting, wickedness, deceit, licentiousness, envy, slander, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within, and they defile a man. It's actually going well beyond dietary restriction. Jesus teaches of the moral implications to the nature of mankind, and that it's through us as human beings in our nature to be navigating murky waters of choice and action can fall in line to immoral behavior. So, good morning,
Good
Jason.
morning.
So, how does Mark 7, verse 14 through 23 interpret to your eyes, Andrew? Your eyes and your heart.
When I was listening to the book, I have one of those uh, uh, the text to audio converters. They were it really
Awesome.
what came to mind to me was like this the way that this was laid out. It reminded me a lot of like the way that people write source code is that they'll leave comments, right? And if you don't have the context of the comments, you're really susceptible to losing your spot and your understanding of how everything flows.
Mark actually makes a great point on what kosher could mean on a health standard. Which you're right. Washing hands, no shellfish in the desert, mixing dairy and beef, all good things. You probably shouldn't be mixing meat with milk. So, mhm. So, but yeah, you shouldn't be mixing anything with any certain things. Probably shouldn't be mixed. You should probably on a healthy standard of life in a direct notion of dietary expertise, you should probably keep to a more kosher standard, Andrew, if you want to, or cheese with meat.
Yeah.
So, but as far as when it comes to the kosher laws that are presented in this notion, it goes beyond the idea of those kosher laws. It's basically saying, what is it? What have you on you condemning what people eat or what people do? It's not what goes in, it's how people react towards what comes out through their tongue, through their eyes, their desires, through their ears. What is your moral concept in the construct of your life? Are you going to set a standard beholden to that of Christ or that of God and live for God within God? Or are you a hypocrite? No wonder they always try to push meat and cheese sandwiches for lunch. They're trying to kill us. You said it, not me.
Right. Mark had some
And
more
Mark
stuff to
laughs.
say.
Kosher is now an institution, and yeah, it is. It is. Should it be though? Should it be an institution?
Yeah. That's what I was talking about.
Oh, I put that up. No, no, that's
Oh,
new.
I
Yeah, I
didn't.
put that.
Yeah,
He basically he's pretty much saying the same thing here. So
yeah.
they're kind of, yeah, physical tradition, dieting, and soul purity, and that's where I think people don't understand the gospel, in my opinion. I mean, and what especially with this verse in Mark, and what Mark in general tries to establish through his idea of Jesus is it's not anything to be direct in the dietary proceedings. It's about purity of the soul. It just takes a direct reflection. And I think realistically, the reason it takes a direct reflection of dietary standards in Judaism, I mean, and you can go beyond Judaism. There's other, Islam has dietary restrictions as well. But it has a lot more to do with the soul
Halal,
purity. What about Allah?
halal. That's a part of
Oh,
the
halal.
dietary system. Yeah, the way that they
Halal.
slaughter
Halal.
the meat and stuff.
Hmm.
So
And that's
just
there's a good premise to that, actually. I mean, the way you inhumanely slaughter your beef or your lamb in the best way that you can, the most not harmless, but the most humane way, basically, to where they're going to die,
yeah,
obviously. They don't hurt. There's no true suffering. You kill them discreetly. They're done, over with, they're slaughtered. Now it's time to slice them through, clean out the innards, and get it prepped and ready for meal so you can cook it. And Jesus kept to this. I mean, the all essence, like with bread. I mean, the idea of washing the hands before serving bread. So I think the concept of all of this has little to do with kosher, with the kosher of dietary restrictions and laws. It has everything to do with morality and, as Mark said it, soul purity. I will not be denied my cheeseburger as much as I love you guys. And you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. You should eat your cheeseburger. I love cheeseburger. I'm a Christian, man. I don't care. I don't. I'm not going by the dietary restrictions of the Jews and the Muslims. I'll eat a damn hamburger right now on screen. I'll go to town on that. Are you arguing that we must keep our thoughts clean as well be because thoughts become actions? Yes.
actually,
Our
there's
thoughts should.
and the Enneagram personality framework. There's a lot of repetition between action and the way that psychologically you're fixed as a person.
Mhm. If we don't contain certain thoughts and feelings, it's going to erode us. And so through that erosion internally, it's eventually going to reflect in physical action. So say you hate somebody really, really, like to the T, like you hate them so much that you want to slit their throat. That's going to hinder you. You can't get past it. I mean, the simple fact, how do you get past it? You forgive. You don't necessarily have to forget, but you forgive. Um, but how do you forgive somebody? It's very difficult. If you don't forgive, though, it's going to eat you away. And there is a chance that that internal struggle becomes something violent in nature. You'll lash out in some capacity, whether it's verbally, whether it's actually physically acting upon it. Say you want to slit someone's throat, you end up going and slitting someone's throat. Well, what did you just do there? You just committed murder. Now you're completely defiled. So the concept of trying to keep your thoughts as impure as pure as possible is that's a great teaching mechanism right there. we're always gonna have impure thoughts. We're all lustful. We're gluttonous. We're prideful. We have wicked manners. I walk down the street. I go for a walk down the street, and I see a cute girl. Yeah, it's summertime. She's wearing them shorts. Oh man, I'm gonna think some. I'm gonna think some impure thoughts, man. I'm a man.
All right, that's enough for him.
But you got to understand that we're human beings. We're gonna have those thoughts.
This is a religious
And
podcast,
so-
sir.
and we're all sinners. That's that's what I'm bringing up, man. We're all sinners. So what do you do about that? How do you contain your thoughts so you don't get completely perverted?
Well, obviously, you avoid oxidative stress because that's what really leads us to the worst parts of our personality.
We have more. Are you arguing that we must keep? Oh, we've already read that. From my catering experience. Oh, speaking of the catering experience, go check out Not Conscious. That was a very, very fun episode. And check out Not Conscious from that was released yesterday. Fantastic conversation, fantastic discourse on the Iran, Israel, and the geopolitical foreign policy situation that's going on. Thoughts create emotions, says Valkyrie. Valkyrie, which incites action. Very true. Thoughts, emotions, actions. That's how they control the free will of a billion people, by hijacking our minds at the inception of thought. And this is where it all gets muddled down on the relative notion that our society has conformed to today. We try to ignore that free will and thinking that it goes beyond anything that's absolute. So what I think is good, you may not think is good, but who cares what you think is good, because I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do anyways, right? So
Yeah.
I think that Andrew's bald head is hideous. Someone else might think that his baldness is what defines him, and he's a sexy motherfucker. He's a sexy beast. That doesn't
Remember, sir,
mean
this
that
is
it's
a religious podcast. Keep it down.
That
Keep it down
doesn't-
here and
yeah.
not up here.
But that's
Ruin
that's
people's
relative. Yeah, that's relative in that aspect, right? It is good to think positive and highly of Andrew, even though he's an ugly son of a gun. So there's nothing wrong with admiring a beautiful woman. That's not sin. Women make men feel alive. It's okay. Yes,
Window shopping, my friend.
window shopping is great, but certain thoughts can get a little out of hand, and I think that's what I'm trying to get. You can get a little out of hand. It's wonderful to admire the beauty of a woman. We should admire the beauty of a woman. Women do the same thing with men. Admire the beauty of the handsome man. But at the same time, there's more than just looks. So everybody's attracted to another person in another facet more than physical attraction. Though physical attraction is good. Unless you're Andrew, who likes to look deeply into her eyes, into her internal soul.
Soul shock. Look it up.
Yes, we're not a means. We're not a means to an end. I hope no human is seen as means to an end. I hope not. But judging by the situation in the world today, it seems like we are a means to an end. And speaking of the 3 effing hours, every podcast that Mark has done for Not Conscious recently has been 3 freaking hours.
That's good. That's real good.
Well, me and him 2 weeks ago went 2.5. Me and him went a little over 3 hours 3 weeks ago. And then him and Adam yesterday went a little over 3 hours. It was unreal. I think Mark, you went 3.5. Not gonna lie. Good episode though. Like, we're all here to just sleep with each other. Oh, or like, we're all not here to just sleep with each other. There's more purpose to that. We're here to admire each other. We're here to have a relationship with each other. We're here to build trust within each other. If we don't build trust, then how are we going to sleep with each other? in order to procreate, in order to feel love, in order to find that balance between pleasure and reproduction.
Wait, you want to
Hmm.
look into the movie? It's called The Music Man. Great 4th of July film.
That is a great 4th of July film. Speaking of 4th of July coming up, spiritually speaking, men teach us how to live and women teach you how to love. Andrew, you have anything to say on that? I like that line. Spiritually speaking, men teach us how to live and women teach you how to love.
Well, relationships is I won't say a power struggle, but there's a certain order to things, and if the woman isn't willing to play ball and maintain a stable relationship for the beneficiaries of the people that they raise, then it's a little bit harder, you know.
Anything more?
Just it's been kind of destructive what's happened to the sexual marketplace and how it's kind of destabilized the family.
Ooh, so you bring up the sexual marketplace. It's deregulation, right? Co-create with each other.
It's a
There's
mutual
no
contract.
creation. Yeah, there's nothing mutual about the open sexual marketplace. It just creates promiscuity and a divorce from what the reality of it is. And the reality of it should be a bond, mutual respect. And we're at this point we've created a society that has gone beyond the mutual respect of each other. Women are sex objects, property effectively, and men are just consumers to those sexual objects and of that consumption. Women are the product and men are the consumer. That's basically what the sexual marketplace has become. And that's sad because we should be partners. We have a dazzling conversation over on Rumble. Thank you, everybody. We have 21 here live with us. I'm sure that it will expand as offline in the replay. So I'll go ahead, share this, like this, tell it to your friends, tell it to your families, and yeah, let's get these messages out. So thank you everybody that has joined live. Thank you, Mark and Valkyrie is here for joining us on Rumble. Join us on Rumble because YouTube sucks. But if you're watching from X, enjoy X too. Jump on the podcast sphere afterwards. Share that. Get the podcast atmosphere going for your friends and your family. So we put love and sex over loyalty, and that's where everything destabilizes. Andrew, you have something to say on this one. I know you do.
Well, I mean, like I said before, the deregulation of the sexual marketplace, yeah, that's a big part of the problem. Is there's no social pressure on both sides of the situation to keep everybody in line. It's just free for all, do whatever you want, and that's like I said, that provides a lot of adversity and makes it very difficult for people to establish themselves and move up. There's no normalcy anymore.
What is normal, though? If you
Well,
don't mind me asking you, what is normal?
normal is not having a revolving door where there's always a crisis that you have to try to catch up to and then slowly build forward. That's for me. That's the least you can have is normal. Is having stability.
And thus, we're all hypocrites because we can't define normal. Why? Because we don't necessarily know what normal is. What is normal? Normal is relative in its own notion because of where society has become, but at the same time, normal is objectively a fact that there are certain things in our cultures today that deceive us from what the reality of nature, of divinity, of the truth. It shields us.
I see him.
Uh, so instead of "you can't see me," rip that hand down, John Cena. We can see you. It's all a work. You're a character. The trueness is in what God is trying to teach us. Thank you guys. Thanks you guys. Made it great in chat. Oh, yeah, talking about it yesterday. Yeah, last night. So go check that out. Chat makes a show. We are nothing without others, and that is absolutely the truth. We are absolutely nothing without other people. You can't completely isolate. You there's times to reflect and to fast from the realities of life. You can isolate yourself to a certain extent, but you can't isolate yourself forever. You need people. Hmm. Exactly. There's no respect without loyalty. We have conversations. You're welcome. Thank you, Mark. Thank you both. Sex in our natural habitat. We don't know what that is anymore. I don't
Right.
think we do. I think at this point we just think it's fun, it's games, and it's move on to the next, and it's a tally sheet. That's what it is. It's a tally sheet. We've lost the concept of what sex really is. Sex is a beautiful thing, but we've muddled it down to relegate ourselves as
It
to be
creates an
politically
unhealthy struggle
go
session.
so to be politically incorrect. YouTube, we're a, we're a world of whores and sluts.
Slatternly.
Paganism, and that's what most pagans. Thanks for being here, guys. We have a lot of gratitude, so you're all welcome. Thank you all, like I said, for joining us. Thank you all for those who do share. Yeah. So, um, but Andrew, anything else you had
Well,
on this topic,
another
on this segment?
was just kind of comment on something from the book earlier. They was talking about you had to wash your hands, right? If we knew that it was good habit, good practice to wash our hands back then, why didn't I mean Nostradamus was born so much later in life, or later on in time, right? He was one of the first people to like make the observation. Maybe we should take a shower, take a bath, or whatever. And that's how he 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 made a big part of his like reputation was that he was able to fight off the infections and stuff like that. Why did it take so long to make that connection? I wonder.
Hmm. Because of the culture that he came from, I'd imagine. I don't know. I couldn't
I
answer
mean,
that one. Could be the
as
culture of society in that day and age.
Jesus was around the time of Greece is a big thing, right? So it's part of
Hmm.
Europe. I don't know. I'm just something I was thinking about last night when I was listening.
Well, you also got to think like Nostradamus was around the latter half of the Renaissance, so kind of a rebirth, and we had just come out of the Middle Ages, which we effectively or the medieval Dark Ages of what we refer to it now, and a lot of things were lost as people, as cultures and kingdoms and societies were shifting and trying to figure out how to ascertain what is true and what is not. So a lot of knowledge was lost as Rome and the Western Empire fell, and the East was effectively separated. And I mean, so it kind of makes sense that it took so long for somebody like him to relearn some things like hygiene. So, what do you think of this, Andrew? Sex can expel demons or create them, maybe, depending on how you do it.
Well, like I said, oxidative stress brings out the worst parts of our personality, according to the Enneagram personality.
Well,
I
couldn't
can
you
under,
also say that
There's a
there's a
pride and shame,
chemical?
right? The one's got
Mhm.
one's got to burn against the other.
Well, could you also say that during sex you are excreting certain pheromones hormonally? You are
Yeah,
using these chemical reactions within the brain through the body that
yeah.
are happening. So, I mean, it depending on what it is, how it is, theoretically, I mean, if you're using sex for one instance, perhaps you are effectively helping open the door for the demonic, and for using sex for another means, a positive means like creation, as well as pleasure and love, intimacy, then you have the positive doorway. So intimacy is positive. Intimacy leads to creation, and self-soothing pleasure and desire leads to a negative doorway opening. So, I mean, perhaps you could say sex can open the door to the demonic,
Yeah.
as well as shield you from the demonic. Creation and destruction. And the only one who can truly create and destroy and recreate is God. Let the word fulfill. Jason posted. Jason always posts and ghosts. Always. Stop ghosting, Jason.
What do you
Follow, drop the
investigator?
mask. Yeah, follow, drop the mask. Not conscious. And If by Whiskey over on Rumble. Subscribe on YouTube. Check it all out. I would definitely say that God is pure love. And that is the reason why he limited his power in his own capacity of being omniscient, omnibenevolent, omnipotent, omni everything. He is a purveyor
The
of
Omni God.
space and time. Yeah, he is. And he is nothing but love. Can God, the creator, God the lover, be God the judge? The judge? Certainly, he's the creator. But is God love? Yes, because he allows humans to choose whether or not they want to be enlightened through him, come back to him, or will they falter and fall into their self-desire and care not of him and his relationship, but temptation of sin. That's all sin is separation. Exorcism via BDSM.
What is this? A
I'm
Lilith?
not.
I mean, I guess Lilith,
I mean, Lilith is probably the succubus that comes in. So you know what a
yeah, this is
succubus
getting
is.
canceled.
Yeah. Oh, you and work. Stop working. Anyways, actually, you have anything
working
to
me?
answer that question, Andrew?
I mean, I think there's a degree involved there, but also it kind of in plays with the way you're raised and the bias that you're raised under. That kind of plays into your thinking and acting as well.
That's a little relativist. The way you're raised.
Well,
How do explain that? Explain.
So, like,
how do you mean? How do you mean the way that you're raised?
So, like, okay, in the Enneagram personality, my mom has a 3 and 6 line of fixation, but she leans into 5 and 4, and so I'm a 5/4, and those fixations, and so her bias unintentionally influenced the way I exist as a person, the way I'm psychologically fixed. So that's what I'm talking about when I say it's unintentional. It's people. It's like an invisible force field almost. It's like pressure.
So the Enneagram is truly divine.
Well, I mean, it is.
You just have to. You have to. Yeah. No, go ahead.
It's
No.
spiritual. It's a spiritual energy, right? That's what we read about here in the Enneagram.
He's gonna show it.
We had. Yeah.
Yeah, it's divine. There is a divine aspect, and the Enneagram in itself is the true, in my opinion, a truer concept, more so through a secular lens, so you can gravitate towards Judo, Christian, and even Islam. Well, obviously the Sufi and Islamic lens, and mysticism. You can grab it into a spiritual and religious lens, on the code of conduct through how you navigate the two pathways. It all comes down to you. You are stricken with however you're created to do. You are created with certain talents. You are created with a certain mindset, but it is through your choice of action to fulfill where you're going to go. Are you going to be positive or negative, good or evil, right or wrong, objectively? There is no gray
No,
area. So,
we're born with a certain personality, and that influences our amygdala, right? And as we develop,
mhm.
it that personality shifts. It's just not enough for us to move forward in life. We need to adapt to a new environment. That's another thing that I think it leans into, is that it's an adjustment to that psychology from our parents.
And so, if we have all of our thoughts go through the lens of love, then we will take action based on that. So, living with God is just living through love. That is probably the fear. We get it. I don't know. I think we get it confused with trying to define this notion of fear of God. There's nothing to fear. It is truly living in relationship with God. And if we're not living in relationship with God, we're not living in the love for ourselves, for which we're not going to be able to love other people. You have to love yourself effectively to love God. So God comes first. If you can't love God, you cannot love yourself. Thus, you cannot love others. So yes, we have to live through love. But and we shouldn't fall into fear, because I mean, that's the old Star, not to go Star Wars, but fear leads to hate. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Well, we shouldn't fear anything. We shouldn't fear God. We shouldn't fear anything. I mean, we should literally try to conquer those fears. And that's through love. Doesn't matter what you believe in. It doesn't matter what your faith is, what your religion is, or not religion. I think the moral absolute is love. Hmm. And we have that, actually. So I've heard everything we do is from a place of love or fear, and that's good and evil, right or wrong. How do you explain right or wrong? Love and fear. You're gonna, I mean, whenever you're trying to conceal or hide or lie, it's always out of some sort of fear. You lie because you're scared of the consequences. Well, if don't be scared of the consequences. You do something bad, be ready, acknowledge the fact that you're going to be judged for it. So, also, drop the mask, everybody. God is whatever you want him to be. God is everywhere. I don't know, I wouldn't call him translucent, I
call him
guess.
Zool.
Transcendent, yes. Trans. So yes, I guess God is trans. So we need a new book called Natural Law. Oh really? Oh really? Which has a list of all the cosmic laws. Like natural law dictates, we can't make ourselves bleed, or anyone else making tattoos a soul trap kind of thing. I think what we need to do is we need to combine. There is a natural law book. Andrew, would you like to say it? Oh, that's right. He owns it. Physical copy.
That's Vice's. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. No, that's no treason. It'll be a while. Hold on just a minute.
It's gonna be. Don't worry about it. Lysander Spooner actually has his treatise on natural law, called Natural Law. And I think if you combine his treatise, Natural Law, with that of the Holy Bible, I think you actually kind of get that combination, that guidance through the natural and cosmic flow. So, and I think you can also gravitate from any. So you got to be careful going into like Eastern philosophy, but you could also dive into specific, especially if you want to go in the cosmic and spiritual realm. You have to be careful to not open yourself up to anything. but looking into Taoism, looking into what Hinduism perceives, in its philosophy, not necessarily, and its spirituality, not necessarily their belief. Looking into Buddhism, I think all of these explain, in comparison and contrast with each other, the meaning of life and purpose. So I mean, as a Catholic, I'm a very open-minded Catholic. Does that make me a bad Catholic to be open-minded?
Well, I suppose it doesn't make you a bad Quaker. Badquaker.com. The Field Manual says
Badquaker.com.
the Field Manual edition. I think that's
What
the
is natural
title.
law? What is natural law? Can you explain it, Andrew? In great
Well,
great
hold on.
detail. I need you to explain it to me in great detail. Did I do that right, Jason? Was that a good Trump?
Let me.
In great detail.
Yeah. He says in great detail. I got 8 hours. He says he has 6.
Oh,
Hold on
wait,
just a second.
not even 8.
Just a second.
Do you have 72 hours?
I have 72 virgins. Just a second. Oh man. What is I'm trying to remember?
Thank you. I try. It's definitely not Jason's. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, here we go.
It's definitely not Jason's. He makes a hell of a Trump. Hell of a Trump.
You want to know what natural law is? Watch this video right here. Hold on just a second.
You want to play it? Is it how short is it?
It's 8 hours long.
well.
We have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government.
Maybe I am.
Right.
We're not watching an 8-hour film, man.
I know. Mark Passio Natural Law Seminar full version.
But
it's great.
But yeah,
trust me, I've seen it. I've seen every moment of it.
Mark Passio is great. So yeah, there you go. If you wanna, if you want a good little seminar, I had to slip that out.
I mean, it's great, but it's not the full thing. That's his interpretation of natural law. There's other interpretations.
Mm-hmm. Mark Passio isn't what? Where does he? I don't know if he teaches there anymore. Didn't he originally come from Harvard? Send a link down there in the chat there, Andrew.
Oh well. Just a second, I have to pull it back up. I just closed it out. Sorry.
And for that,
hey. Just a second. There you go. That's the full video.
So that's the link right there. Just copy and paste that if you're on your browser. I don't know if it will do it on a mobile, but yeah, copy paste that and check that 8-hour video of Mark Passio explaining his idea around natural law. With that, let's transition forward.
Here.
Why are you looking around?
A lot easier. This makes it a lot easier. Hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's the title.
There you go. Or search Mark Passio Natural Law Seminar full version. Full version. Not virgin. Full version. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I like the YouTube link better. That way, screw it. Twitch is just nothing but bots. But yeah. So just search that out. That'll be easier to copy and paste. And I have a short little video on the interpretation of Mark 7, verse 20 or verse 14 through 23. If you have me, it's only about 3 minutes, a little over 3 minutes long. If you have me, Andrew. So shall we listen to it?
Sure.
Keep that up there while I get it together. Baldy. Go forth, bald head. Go forth to Bethel.
Okay. And then several bears came out and attacked him.
Yes, exactly. What defiles you?
Jesus has just told the Pharisees that they nullify the word of God through their traditions. And he wants to make sure that the people get his point, because it's an important one. Let's listen in.
Again, Jesus called the crowd to him and said, "Listen to me, everyone, and understand this. Nothing outside a person can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles them." After he had left the crowd and entered the house, his disciples asked him about this parable. "Are you so dull?" he asked. "Don't you see that nothing that enters a person from the outside can defile them? For it doesn't go into their heart, but into their stomach, and then out of the body." He went on, "What comes out of a person is what defiles them. For it is from within, out of a person's heart, that evil thoughts come. Sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, lewdness, envy, slander, arrogance, and folly. All these evils come from inside and defile a person."
The Pharisees taught that you became a sinner when you allowed what was outside you in the sinful world into your life. But the teaching of Jesus was the opposite. Jesus had been speaking only to the Pharisees, but this was so important that he called the crowd over to him so that everyone could hear what he had to say. Jesus tells them clearly that nothing that enters a person from the outside can defile them, but instead, the things that defile us come from inside ourselves, from our own hearts. He uses the example of food. The Pharisees were scrupulous about washing their hands so that nothing might contaminate their food and make them sinners. But Jesus says that food goes inside us, goes through our body, and then exits the body. However, sin comes from the inside out and not from the outside in. And that's where the real problem is. The religion of the Pharisees was a legalistic religion. This kind of religion often teaches that the way to be acceptable to God is to avoid being contaminated by the sin that there is in the world around you. But Jesus taught that sin is already deep within our hearts and that it is what contaminates us. The only way to be acceptable to God is to repent, accept his forgiveness, and trust in Jesus. Who do you agree with? The Pharisees or Jesus?
That's a difficult question. I mean, are you really going to tell Jesus he's wrong?
I don't think you can, from my perspective, anyways. Back then, you could, theoretically, because who is this? Who is this? This Yeshua of Nazareth? Who is this son of a carpenter? Who is this poor jackass from the backwaters of Galilee, who hangs out with reprobates and fishermen and the low lives of society?
Yeah. What's wrong with being a
So-
fisherman?
Nothing's wrong, but to the Pharisee, to the leadership, to the elite, there's everything wrong with it. You're nothing. You're a peasant. You listen to us. You do as we say. And that's the corruption, and that's the sin that he's referring to. That's why we're all hypocrites. Because everything that comes out of us, our sin, through our soul, our heart, this is what he's referring to. We want to control others. Let's go back to the analogy of the sexual marketplace. Actually, I think that's a great target of discussion, because I think we've seen a dip in society and culture. We've lost something. And what is this decentralized sexual marketplace? Though on the surface level, superficially, it shows freedom, liberty, this and that. You can do as you please, right? You can express yourself sexually. But what is the consequences to that openness?
Well, I mean, it's certainly shallow to think that you can have all your cake and eat it too, right? And I think that's there's not a lot of contemplation about the consequences of people's behavior and how it'll affect other people. So, it's squandering your identity for a moment of pleasure in a lifetime of struggling to having to live with what you did.
Like, say, you're not ready for a family. You're a young person, right? In our day and age, we've extended adolescence, but yet people still
Into the
fuck.
30s.
Yeah. So, into their 30s, exactly. But people are going to fuck. Kids are going to be kids, man, especially when they're going through puberty. They get them feelings, hormones raging, lust start equating. You just want
Just a
to
heads up,
fuck like
aluminum
rabbits,
foil
man.
doesn't work.
but chainmail does. That was.
I mean, hey, and I'm not vouching for that.
But Jason. Yeah, let's just you start giving kids puberty blockers. That'll slow down adolescence.
And when I was taking college classes, I was reading a study about North Korean people, and they don't hit puberty until they're like 17 or 18. So that's still probably a little dramatic. It's more like 16. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to be that way, you might as well live like a North Korean.
True, but I think also a lot of it has the foods that most of them eat, which is relatively nothing. That you got to take that into effect as well. So your nutritional value, that has an effect on things. But I mean, back to this construct, this concept that we're on is, if you aren't going to understand responsibility, you can't be accountable to that responsibility. And so if you're not mature, then how can you be responsible? And so we live in a society that says, do as you please. It's okay. Be as promiscuous as you possibly can, as you possibly want. You are free to be a little skank. So what happens when, in this scenario, a child is born? It's kept, thank goodness. But what does that do to these young parents? And this is probably another reason, many reasons, why the family structure doesn't really stay together, because you have two people that they don't love each other. There's no connection there. It was just some fun that resulted in a pregnancy and conception.
There used to be great shame for being born out of wedlock. No, it's a common parlance.
And it's very different.
It disadvantages their development and delays their growth and the ability to maintain their own stability.
Mm-hmm. And you don't, speaking of stability, you don't have that emotional stability with a parental apparatus, and oftentimes the extended family of such grandparents, etc., maybe even an aunt or an uncle has to take over if the state doesn't get involved. And that's even worse. It breaks the whole family dynamic apart. But you're putting a lot of stress on the outside instead of the inside, because you have parents that are not they're not prepared for this, and they're not taught this. There's a lack of education when it comes to sexuality. We ignore it. At one end, we've opened up the sexual marketplace, but at the other end, we're still, in this country at least, we still have this Puritan practice of deceit and secrecy.
Bias.
Mm-hmm. So nobody wants to talk about it. They just want to zip it up, lock it, throw away the key. And if we just talked about it, perhaps we wouldn't have an issue of promiscuity or advanced homosexuality or pedophilia. Fuck you, YouTube. Yeah, I said it. Join us on Rumble, everybody. We wouldn't have these issues that have decayed society.
I got a solution. They say in the army to drink some water whenever you break your leg or something like that, right? Well, obviously that's not going to work in this situation, but if you eat some oatmeal from Quaker Oats, it might.
Mark, I lost myself like 5 minutes into this episode, so it's okay, buddy.
I lost my mind a long time ago. What are you talking about? That's why I'm a co-host with this guy.
Jason, I still have never had the talk. Still to this day, Jason actually brings a good point right there. The talk. Why is that? Why do you think that? Why do you think that parents, our parents, and thus parents now, are trying to run away from the talk? Why are they trying to not elaborate on it? What is so scary about the talk?
On the one hand, sexuality is encouraged in modern society. On the other hand, it's discouraged because it's embarrassing and uncomfortable to talk about with your kids.
I'm sorry. This is, I had to, yeah, that's just funny. Can you guys help me? Hey man, I can't even help myself. So we can try. Andrew, say that again. I was too busy laughing. I think you were helping him.
Oh yeah. Well, I hear if you go to California, they'll give you a cucumber and tell you how to use a condom. So
you mean it's a cucumber now? It used to be a banana. It was a banana in my sex ed class.
Okay, well, I mean a banana, a cucumber, there's all kinds of different fruits that you could use in vegetables.
Which is kind of weird, man, because it's like Captain Hook,
right?
We're getting wet topic. Oh, probably. I'm sure.
In San Francisco, they will. That's a requirement for passing.
Yeah, I'm sure Gavin Newsom shows up to watch that too. It's called a rite of passage.
Something like that.
That's, I mean. Oh man, comedy. Never let humor go away, everybody. Because if we don't have humor, what is the point? What is the point of life? I mean, nihilism. Even the Bible has humor. You want to quote 2 Kings 2, verse 23 and 24, Andrew?
I was more into First Samuel 20:30, but okay.
Or 1 Samuel 20:30. That's another humorous one. You want to quote either one of them?
You son of a lascivious woman. I think that's how it goes.
Sounds sexist. Or humorous. Laugh a little. Lively.
It's a long time we've been using that phrase. Adopted for modern times. You son of a bitch. Yeah, we're definitely canceled from YouTube.
We've been canceled from YouTube, buddy. We've been shadow banned. Go to check us out on Rumble, everybody. Like, share, follow everybody. So drop the legacy, right? Drop the mask. Not conscious. If by whiskey.
Check us out on MySpace.
and if MySpace is still around. So gotta laugh, or we're literally going to cry at this point. Amen to that. So I'm not telling my daughter she has a vagina until she's 24. That's in your right, man. I honestly, I don't blame. I really don't blame you. That's your, yeah. You're that's your daughter, and you're the father, and that's what you're there for, to protect her. There's a lot of freaks out there. A lot of, especially in this society. I would do the same thing.
The first time, yeah,
I'd be like, I'm not
well,
telling. No, no. I'll be like, honey, I don't know what this vagina thing is. Shut up about it until you're 30. And when you found your future husband and you're in love, then maybe I'll tell
the
you.
thing about the thing about the eggplants. Okay, there was this comedy skit that it was like a big TV show in Japan in the 90s, and the guy was stuck in like this apartment complex. That's how the show ran. And he had to fill out those little survey cards and like magazines and make a bunch of money. And he was naked, and that's where the eggplant thing came from. Look it up on Account Dankula. It's very funny. Like the whole video is hilarious, but it really kind of sucked for that guy. But he made a lot of money.
Yeah, look it up on Count Dankula so he can tell you the story, because I wouldn't want to Google it. How do you even Google that?
YouTube Count Dankula.
Well, I mean the actual occurrence, the actual event with the eggplant. How do you even Google that
Well, I mean,
without
they
it?
don't talk about it directly. I mean, it was just inferred. That was like the first common usage of the eggplant for that particular point of view, I guess you could say.
And now we use eggplants for penis on social media.
Damn Japanese, you're ruining everybody.
Honestly, I'm actually starting to think that it was the westernization of the Japanese after World War II, and they've taken it and eroded themselves. They have no culture anymore. Thank you, America. Truly.
I mean, Japanese got better culture than Chinese.
I'll agree on that. The Japanese do have a better culture than Chinese, especially now.
There's
The
nothing in
Chinese,
China. It's just a big party where everybody beats the crap out of each other.
well, it goes back to the concept of this moral relativist concept. No, the idea that there's no objective or absolute truth in society. Mainly because, like, say, China, let's use China as an example. China is a communist state or socialist state capitalist state, whatever you want to call it. It is a statist society that suppresses any form of culture, that denies the state as its apparatus. The state dictates the culture, and it creates a facet of nihilism. And how can you live in a society of so much dread, but to find ways of escape? And how do you escape? Well, through substances, through social events, as in partying, that utilizes substances, and you just ignore reality. I mean, because the reality sucks. The reality over there sucks, and they have no culture, and their culture has degraded to a nihilist culture. I mean, think of it. I mean, real talk. Because of China's one-child policy, and I think it's like a two-child policy now, even still, it hurt them so bad that there's way too many men in ratio to women. And it's also, and because of that, it's created a negative culture in this dissidence, where men are forced to use human trafficking measures just to have a wife. And that's getting bad in China. And that's where it goes when you forget a concept of moral when you forget the concept of moral objective idea and replace it with societal relativism, you're going to get negative influence. And I think that's what Jesus is referring to in Mark 7, right there in those verses from 14 to 23, is we defile ourselves through what comes from within. And from within is the sin of trying to distinguish reality for ourselves rather than acknowledge reality for what it should be and what it was created, which was love. It was love and relationship with the Lord, the only true God to encompass us was the one true God that the Israelites worshiped and has expanded, the ancient Hebrews worshiped, because he was a God of relationship. Yes, he had wrath, sure, a wrath of judgment. He used the Israelites, and that you can in detail see within the biblical apparition of the Old Testament to slaughter because of judgment, like the Achemalites, who were literally slaughtered, man, woman, and child. After about 400 years of God basically letting them do as they please and hoping that they come to him and learn the realities of nature and say that what they are doing is immoral and incorrect and disgusting, the infanticide, the orgies, the blood sacrifice. And so, yes, he used the Hebrews, the Israelites, to go in and make judgment on them. But then here's the catch: it wasn't a genocide, everybody, because the Amalekites reappear again in the Old Testament down the line. So they weren't genocided. They were, a facet of them were judged, and you judge them on earth for the desires, whereas. Welcome, Jeff. So thank you for tuning in. So, but that's I lost my train of thought here. But that's where God's judgment is we walk away from him for our own self desires, our own interpretation of life. We're going to fall into a negative connotation. We're going to fall into this cognitive dissonance of what isn't real. And in reality, we should be focusing on what is real, and that is love. That is relationship. That is understanding that we need each other. You don't have to believe in God to understand that we need each other as human beings. So, you have a good day, Jason. Be safe. Oh, that's right. So 3 p.m. local. So 6 p.m. tonight, everybody. 6 p.m. Eastern. If by Whiskey, special time, Friday, live. So check that out. So 6 p.m., 3 p.m. locally for Jason and Mark.
It's peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Sorry, I had to.
So, but so within that regards, that's where China is culturally. That's where Japan is culturally. That's where the United States is culturally now. That is where the whole world is cultural. It is culturally now. We have effectively broke away from what is real, objective, and tangible for what is relative and what is. It is what it is. It is what it is.
You'll find that in every police state, there's always a dying culture.
Yeah.
There's no culture in prison.
No, there's not.
It's
There's
something you
only
want to
chaos.
celebrate.
There's only chaos and violence, amongst other things, which we could just equate that to the violence and the chaos. There are negative consequences to negative actions, and when you allow for a culture to act on negative impulse, you're going to get negative. You're going to get negativity. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Why not fulfill a prophecy for yourself through a positive means rather than dwell in negative energy and spirituality and allow the demons entering you and entering your society, the demonic, to change that society for something that's not real, something that is being forgotten.
You know, that reminds me of that movie Nefarious. That was a pretty good film. Have you ever seen it?
I've never seen it. Nefarious. Who directed it?
By the same people that did God's Not Dead.
God's Not Dead. So
Yeah.
here.
It's
Well,
about- I don't know if it's copyrighted or whatever.
who directed? Screw you, Google. Don't use Google, everybody. I'm just on my phone. Who directed Nefarious? Carrie Nefarious is Is it a 23 American independent Christian horror thriller? Did it come out in 23? So it's fairly
Yeah, it was-
new.
I
And
saw
it's
Tim
is it
Pool
based
talking about it, so I checked it out. It's pretty good.
is it based on a Steve Dice novel?
It's
I
actually a
love
sequel.
Steve Dice.
That's being
I actually
made
like
about it.
Steve for being a freaking Michigan man. I like his podcast that he does during the football season. Well, I think it goes beyond football, but it talks about the Big Ten. So I'm not into his political stuff. I know he gets political. He has a number of political associated podcasts that he's on, but I didn't know he wrote a novel. I guess it's called The Nefarious Plot, 2016. So I knew he was pretty Christian for being a Michigan man. I love Steve Dice though, so I'll have
Jersey
to check
guy,
that
Florida
out.
man, and we need a new name for a Michigan guy.
He's a Michigan man,
Okay.
although I think he's in
Sounds-
Iowa now. I'm not sure, but yeah, he's a Michigan fan, so he's a Michigan man. Yeah, so I might have to check out the novel, but I'll have to check that out. Nefarious. So
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. So without giving away the plot, but giving away the plot effectively. What
It's
is
about
it?
this,
What's the whole
this
point?
psychologist who goes and visits this guy on death row, and that's all I'm going to say.
Sort of like Antichrist, which is a Lars von Trier film.
Something like that.
Very,
but I
very
haven't seen
bizarre.
that.
Yeah, very bizarre. I would actually see it, although the first.
You got
part
homework,
might
people.
want- You got homework, people. Yeah. Although because it's Lars von Trier, man, that first segment of the movie. First off, you'll never want to look at William Dafoe ever again. Really, you really won't. Secondly, you might want to, if you don't like the scene that starts at the beginning, you might want to shield your eyes for two reasons. One, what happens to their child. Two, the very graphic sexually explicit scene at the very beginning of the film between the husband and the wife. That's where I stop. But the premise of it, after the very beginning, the man who William Dafoe plays is a psychiatrist, and he takes his wife. Their child dies, and you'll get how and basically why at the very beginning of the film. And the mother goes into depression, and they go out. The psychiatrist he tries to mend to his wife and her needs, and tries to help her psychoanalytically. And they go out to their cabin in the woods, so out in the middle of nowhere. So it's a cabin in the woods type of deal. It's a psychological thriller. It's not Christian-esque per se, but it is a psychological thriller, and it is an intriguing film. Like I
Do
said,
they deliver
you-
things
if
in the
you-
mail to the FBI?
No.
Okay.
But it's a very intriguing film between the dynamic of man and woman, and within the backdrop of what you're going to find at the very beginning of why the film is flowing as it is in this movie. So, but check out Antichrist for real, Lars von Trier, and I'm gonna check out Nefarious, dude. That seems pretty legit. Seems very legit. Now, if you do know Lars von Trier, like I said, very notable for his explicit definition of certain scenes. And if my buddy Zach is watching this or listening to this, he knows what I'm talking about, because he's the one that got me to watch Nymphomaniac Part 1 and Part 2. And I'm like, what? it's a good story, man. But I mean, if you're not ready for it, dude, it goes a little bit different. It's different. It's different. The story goes beyond it. So, but you hear the name Nymphomaniacs, like what is this? Is this one of these sex movies? Well, yeah, there's some explicit graphically sexual scenes in the movie, but that is not what the movie is about. So you just got to get over that aspect. And speaking of what we were talking about today, Andrew, Nymphomaniac, the Lars von Trier film, kind of distinguishes what the sexual marketplace for what it is today has turned society in its cultural construct into. It has failed. The experiment of the open sexual marketplace has failed. So again, actually watch Nymphomaniac, because you will understand where that story is coming from with the deterioration of culture.
I'm trying to find a book that we read at the very beginning of our podcast here.
Nobody wants nobody wants to know your fluff, your smut and your fluff.
Okay, yeah, that's not what I was talking about, but okay.
Oh man, you have the plutonium files?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you should let me borrow that. Good
That's
book,
a
everybody.
$100 book right there.
Is it still over 100? Wow.
When I got it, it was 100. I don't see it, but
Wait,
man,
we got more banana dances.
peanut butter Dan, peanut butter jelly time. Oh man,
So-
mutiny. The section. Oh, the Art of Vora. I was trying to find the book.
Any day, Junior.
I know.
Nobody wants to see your bald spot, Baldy.
Right?
Go on, bald head. Go forth, bald head. Go forth.
I'm sorry. I just can't find the book. I got it around here somewhere. I got too many
It
books.
may not even be on the top shelf. It's probably on the bottom shelf, honestly.
Could be. The Anti-Capitalist Mentality by Ludwig von Mises. That's obviously not a copy from the Mises Institute. That was just somebody reprinted it. But, man.
I actually kind of
know.
like that.
Oh, here it is.
I do like
Here it is.
right in
Pull
front,
out.
right in front of us.
Men,
Yeah, pull out. There you
Modern
go.
Life and Music. This is a good book too. Check it out.
Yeah,
Arvin
Arvin
Vora.
So, and I know within the libertarian community, there's some disagreements between him and a lot of people, but I would literally check out Pull Out. I mean, it's very eye-opening to how society is and a hijacking of certain movements. I mean, used to.
It's a very subversive book.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is very interesting. You can also check it out on the Legacy Right channel as well, over on YouTube, over on Spotify, anywhere else you like your podcasts. Because we actually have, I believe it's called "We Pulled Out" is the episode, and we actually had Arvin on 3 years ago. So we need to bring him back on. Actually, I don't know what he's doing. Mark says, "Would you like to read that, Andrew?"
Like homosexuality, deviant sexual behavior naturally makes up a percentage of the population. The problem
And
is
by all means,
deviants push it into culture.
Yeah, I mean, and by all means, we're not saying like I disagree with your lifestyle as a homosexual, but I'm not saying that I am against you personally as a homosexual. I still love you. This is me speaking as a Christian. I still love you as a human being. I don't perceive that your lifestyle is right. I think it's immoral. But I'm not saying that a homosexual can't find love with another homosexual. I'm not saying that a homosexual relationship can't be truly filled with a love and relationship and mutual correspondence with each other, to hold accountability within each other, and could profoundly effectively be within God. I'm not saying that. You could find that in homosexuality. I disagree, um, profoundly disagree, because there's another aspect within that love, that within the sexual behavior of human beings, that brings about creation. And you need a man and a woman for that. A man and a man, or a woman and a woman, is not going to bring about life. It's not going to bring about the preciousness of life, and that is the gift that God gives us. He gives us life, and he gives us grace within that life, for the sins that we are inevitably going to commit, in order to traverse towards salvation through him. But I think the homosexuality of today has been perverse through the open sexual marketplace of full-on self-promiscuous desires that has led to a corruption within culture that has permitted a deviant culture, a culture of sin, a den of sin, as you would say, to where anything goes. Nothing is true, so everything is permitted. And that is how the pagan cultures were. And that is why every pagan culture led to a police state politically, and why police states fell. The erosion of culture led to hierarchies taking your soul, physically and spiritually. They broke your soul through allowing you this and that until you were nothing but nihilistic sheep that would allow for them to control you on this earth and do as they please. And that's where we have to be careful with this homosexual thought. By all means, I love you, homosexuals, but please
Sounds
give
kinda
yourself
gay.
to Christ. Please I love you too, Andrew. I love all of you watching, all 22 of you that are watching live, and the rest who will follow to watch this replay or to listen on the podcast sphere. I love all of humanity. I may not like your lifestyle. You should be skeptical of certain lifestyles. Jesus teaches of being skeptical, but we all are here to love. I can rebuke you for your sin, so repent for it, so I no longer have to rebuke you, so that I can continue to love you for who you are.
You could be.
That blank stare right there shows that maybe we should go ahead and end this right off of that, man. Anything else to say on this, Andrew?
I mean,
I
hey,
know.
it's been a really classic episode, I think. We're always
My neck
pushing the
is hurt.
bounds on our program here. So let's see how long we can go.
Hey, man. Hopefully forever. Like I said, if you like this, we're actually in the process of trying to figure out how we can put it on like our Substack or create a Patreon so you can actually watch this. Honestly, if you want to support us. I'd probably still put it on a Patreon free, honestly, and give you the choice on whether or not you like it. Because I want you to share all of this. But by all means, like this, share, follow, Rumble, YouTube, all over the podcast sphere, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can find the Legacy, right? And these are the tough talks that we need to start having, in my opinion. At least that's what my perception is. And I don't think we're having that. Even the most red-pilled person is not having these conversations. I don't think people having true, genuine discourse on spirituality and religion and politics and history and et cetera, like we are having on Not Conscious, on Drop the Mask, If by Whiskey, Buds in Reality, whenever the fuck it comes back, under whatever name. The Legacy, right? Whether it's Legacy News or Weekly Legacy. Share it all, man. And let's spread the word, and let's try to capture some truth. So Anything else to say, Andrew? My other necklace is getting tangled, man. I can fix that.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. This has really been a good episode.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Andrew, would you like to lead off with a prayer? You Protestant fuck.
I'm not a Protestant.
I don't believe you.
Hey, I did it last time. It's your turn.
Nah, man. I said a prayer at the beginning. You say a prayer at the end. I did my prayer at the beginning. Why don't you say a prayer at the end? Let's end this episode of Weekly Legacy. This is a new motif right here. We're gonna lead off in a prayer, man, because I think that's what we're missing in life. So go right ahead. I said a prayer at the beginning. You said a prayer at the end. I will put you on the spot.
Okay. Dear God, please look after us and keep us in your focus and attention to help guide us and help maintain our sense of person and our sense of identity, and help us avoid sin whenever possible. I thank you very much for my co-host, my friends, and my family, and people who watch our program. And I hope that we can continue to maintain a healthy, avoid a healthy life and avoid sin whenever possible. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Christ have mercy. Lord have mercy. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you all for tuning in. And we will see you on Monday at 5 p.m. Not live, obviously. We're not live then. And we will see you next Friday, live at 11, as always, for the Weekly Legacy. And next Thursday on World Blockchain Roundtable. Peace. Live long and prosper.
Guys.
Oh, wrong button.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Den.social, and I'd like to welcome you to WCW Nitro.
You know, brother, you think you know what it takes to beat Hollywood Hogan once you climb in the ring and try out the largest arms in the world. Oh, stop.
You want to wrestle an inch more Ric Flair, you gotta be able to walk that out and style and profile. Woo!
You really think you're ready for the spin? You really think you're ready for the Scorpion Deathlock? You think you're ready for a fatal encounter?
This is why they call me the total package. Do you have a pain threshold to withstand the butcher rack? Let's find out.
Hallo, hier ist Alex Wright. Wenn ihr High-Flying Wrestling Action wollt, Spinning Sidekick, Top Turnbuckle Dropkick, dann nehmt mich. Der Sieg ist euch sicher. Versprecht euch.
Oh yeah! Watch the flying elbow drop off the top rope. Not only beat people 1, 2, 3, but I hurt him real bad.
It only takes one of 1,000 holds. I think you're man enough for the challenge.
You better be ready to wrestle, because you know, when you're getting in the ring with Eddie Guerrero, it's going to be high-flying and exciting.
Hey, anytime you feel froggy, man, I'll slap on the buzz killer and rip your shoulder right out of socket. Wolfpack style!
Hey, funky boy. Like there's a choice here? Good God! Pick the man with the plan. Pick deep.
Hey, all you suckers out there, you wanna play the game? You wanna play with the big boy? Put your feet on the button, cause when you go down 110th Street, it's gonna be on like neck bone, sucker.
This is Booker T. From Harlem Heat, hardcore OG brother from 110th Street. The minute you pump, got the guts to step up to the plate, push the button.
Yo, Chico, you selected Scott Hall? Get ready for a wild ride on the outside. Hey there! How'd you like to get power pop? Come on, take me. I'm begging you, take me.
You think you got the courage to step in the ring? I think you're gonna wind up with a snap neck from the choke slam.
Technical wrestler, high flyer, brawler. It don't matter what you consider yourself to be. When you're in the ring with the crippler, you're a loser.